Function of the kidney, production of the urine. The production of urine occurs in three major steps in kidney: ultrafiltration, reabsorption, or we can say selective reabsorption, and tubular secretion. You all know that nitrogenous waste is filtered by the kidney in the form of urine. The filtering unit of kidneys are kidney tubules. So all these three processes takes place in kidney tubule, or we can say renal tubule. Now the first one is ultrafiltration. Now the blood flows through the glomerulus under great pressure. Glomerulus, that is the tuft of capillaries present in the first part of the renal tubule, that is Bowman's capsule. So when blood flows through the glomerulus, it flows with great pressure. The reason for this great pressure is that efferent arteriole is narrower than the efferent arteriole. The high pressure, that is the hydrostatic pressure, causes the liquid part of the blood to filter out from the glomerulus into the renal tubule, and this filtration under extraordinary pressure, that is called as, or extraordinary force, is called as ultrafiltration. Now look at the diagram. This is the diagram of the first part of the nephron, that is, this is glomerulus and this is Bowman capsule. Together they are known as Malpighian capsule. So when blood flows to the glomerulus, it flows with a great pressure. The reason behind that is the efferent arteriole, which carry blood away from the glomerulus, is narrower in diameter in comparison to efferent arteriole. So due to wide diameter of efferent arteriole, more blood flows towards the glomerulus, but less is moving out. This blood create force, and due to that force, maximum the liquid part of the blood, it oozes out from the walls of the capillaries of the glomerulus and runs into the Bowman's capsule. As this process occurs under a high pressure, we call this as ultrafiltration. During ultrafiltration, most of the liquid part of the blood, it oozes out, or it filter out from the glomerulus into the Bowman capsule. So as it occurs under high pressure, we call it as ultrafiltration. Now the part of the blood which oozes out or which filter out from glomerulus and it is received by the Bowman's capsule, that is the first part of nephron, that is called as glomerular filtrate. Now this glomerular filtrate, the fluid entering the renal tubule, is called the glomerular filtrate. Now this glomerular filtrate consists of important one, that is water, urea, salt, glucose and another plasma solute. Now as liquid part has oozed out from the walls, that is from the glomerulus, the thicker part of the blood left behind in the glomerulus after ultrafiltration. So as most of the liquid part, it oozes to the Bowman capsule, it filter out from glomerulus to the Bowman's capsule. So the thicker part of the blood remains here, which flows to the efferent arteriole. This blood which flows through efferent arteriole after ultrafiltration, it contains two types of corpuscles, that are RBCs and platelets, and another large size protein molecules are also present in it. As this blood is thicker, it starts moving slowly into the efferent arteriole, and from efferent arteriole it enter vasa recta. Next is reabsorption or the selective reabsorption. The glomerular filtrate entering the Bowman's capsule, that is the first part of the renal tubule, is not urine. It is an extremely dilute solution which contain lot of useful materials including glucose, some salts such as those of sodium and a large quantity of water. All these useful materials, they are required by our body. So they are to be reabsorbed back by the blood flowing through vasa recta, that is secondary capillary network, but in required amount only to maintain the proper composition of the body fluid, that is the osmotic pressure of the body fluid. another function of the kidney, that is osmoregulation. So as all these useful materials, they are reabsorbed back by the blood flowing in vasa recta, but in the required amount only, in the selected amount only. So we call it as selective reabsorption or selective absorption. Now look at the diagram of the kidney tubule. This is glomerulus. When blood flows through the glomerulus, the process of ultrafiltration takes place here. After the process of ultrafiltration, glomerular filtrate, it is received by Bowman's capsule. So the function of glomerulus, ultrafiltration. Bowman capsule, it receives glomerular filtrate, and then when that glomerular filtrate moves from the parts of the renal tubule, that is from PCT, loop of Henle and DCT, these three parts. So when that glomerular filtrate passes down through these three parts, here the selective absorption or reabsorption takes place. Means the useful materials in the required amount are reabsorbed back by the blood which is flowing through these capillaries, that is the vasa recta. Now first, when the glomerular filtrate moves through proximal convoluted tubule, here most of the water, that is the 2/3 of the water which is present in the glomerular filtrate, it is reabsorbed back from proximal convoluted tubule. So from here it is reabsorbed back, and again it becomes the part of the blood which is flowing through vasa recta, making it dilute. Along with that water, glucose, whatever the amount of glucose required, that is also reabsorbed back from the proximal convoluted tubule, and with this it also helps in reabsorption of sodium and chloride ions. So in proximal convoluted tubule, reabsorption of water, sodium and chloride ions and glucose takes place. After that, the glomerular filtrate passes down through the loop of Henle. When it moves from loop of Henle, some absorption of water along with sodium ion again takes place in loop of Henle. So in loop of Henle, only the absorption of water, if required, and sodium ion takes place. And after that, the glomerular filtrate, it moves through DCT. When it moves through the DCT, here the reabsorption of remaining chloride ions with some water takes place. So these are the three structures where the selective reabsorption take place. After this, the next in DCT with selective reabsorption, one another process also takes place, that is the tubular secretion. That is the third step in the production of urine, tubular secretion. Now certain substances like potassium ions in a normal course and a large number of foreign chemicals including drugs like penicillin are passed into the forming urine in the distal convoluted tubule. Like if we are taking certain drugs, medicines, antibiotics, vitamins or the potassium ions, they are added to the glomerular filtrate in the DCT, that is in the distal convoluted tubule. Not only this, as renal tubule is a structure, it also produces metabolic waste. So that metabolic waste is also added to the fluid flowing through DCT here only. So as the secretions of the tubule means renal tubule, also become the part of the urine here only. So this type of secretion is called as tubular secretion. So in DCT, along with reabsorption, tubular secretion also take place. In tubular secretion, the waste produced by the metabolic activities of the renal tubule is added, and it also become a part of urine. Not only this, along with this, potassium ion and the drugs, if the person is taking medicines or vitamins or drug or antibiotics, they also become the part of the urine here only. So after that, after the process of tubular secretion, the fluid which is there at the end of DCT, we call it as urine. The filtrate left after reabsorption and tubular secretion is called urine. So again, coming to the diagram, ultrafiltration, receive glomerular filtrate. Here in PCT, reabsorption of water, glucose, sodium and chloride ion takes place. In loop of Henle, reabsorption of water and sodium ion take place here. After that, in DCT, reabsorption of remaining chloride ions along with water take place here. Now, tubular secretion also occur in this part of the renal tubule, that is DCT, distal convoluted tubule. During tubular secretion, the metabolic waste of this tubule is also added to the fluid flowing through it, that is urine. So, the filtrate which is left in DCT after reabsorption and tubular secretion, that is called as urine. So, the urine which is formed here, it is then transferred, it is then carried to the collecting duct, which is common to many nephrons. From here, from DCT, urine is carried to the collecting duct. Collecting duct carry that urine to the pelvis of the kidney, and from pelvis it goes to ureter. Ureter will carry it to the urinary bladder, where it stored for a temporary period of time. So it is stored there for a temporary period of time, and then when the urinary bladder is more than half filled, the sphincter muscles which are attached to the urethra, that is the small tube attached to the urinary bladder, those sphincter muscles, they relaxed. As they relaxed, opening of the urethra open and urine is passed out, and the process of passing out urine, that is called as maturation. So urethra, that is a small tube which is attached to the lower end of the urinary bladder. It helps in the process of passing out urine, and the process is called as urination, or we call it as maturation. So this is all about the production of urine. This is very important topic. With the diagram of nephron, you have to do it. So revise it thoroughly.